Chapter 1. Memories. English Harbour, in fact the whole island of Antigua, seemed to crouch motionless as if pinned down by the noon sun. The air was humid and oppressively hot, so that the many vessels scattered at anchor were blurred in a heavy haze, like reflections in a steamy looking-glass. This October in 1804 was only days old, the middle of the hurricane season, and one of the worst on record. Several ships had been lost at sea, or driven ashore when they'd been caught in some dangerous channel. English Harbour was the important, some said vital headquarters for the fleet which served the Caribbean and to the full extent of the Leeward and Windward Islands. Here was a fine anchorage, a dockyard where even the most serious damage and refitting could be carried out. But peace or war, the sea and the weather were constant enemies, and whereas almost every foreign flag was assumed to be hostile, the dangers of these waters were never taken for granted. English Harbour was some 12 miles from the capital, St. John's, and so the social life in and around the dockyard was limited. On a flagged terrace of one of the better houses flanking the hillside behind the harbour, a group of people, mostly officials and their ladies, stood wilting in the unmoving air, watching the approach of a man of war. It seemed to have taken an eternity for the newcomer to gain substance and shape through the shimmering haze, but now she stood, bows onto the land, her sails all but flat against her stays and yards. Ships of war were too commonplace for mention. After years of conflict with France and her allies, such sights were part of these people's daily lives. This one was a ship of the line, a two-decker, her rounded black and buff hull making a sharp contrast with the milky water, and the sky which seemed without colour in the unwavering heat. The sun stood directly above Monk's Hill, and was encircled with silver. Somewhere out at sea there would be another storm very soon. This ship was different in one respect from other comings and goings. News had been brought by a guard boat that she was from England. To those watching her painstaking approach, just the name of England created so many images, like a letter from home, a description from some passing sailor, uncertain weather, shortages, and a daily fear of a French invasion across the Channel, as varied as the land itself, from lush countryside to city squalor. There was hardly a man or woman watching the two-decker who would not have traded Antigua for a mere glimpse of England. One woman stood apart from the others, her body quite still, except for her hand, which used a fan with economical care to revive the heavy air. She had tired long ago of the desultory conversation of the people she had come to know and recognize out of necessity. Some of their voices were already slurred with overheated wine.